Good morning. How is everybody this fine Tuesday? Hope you're all doing really well. Happy May, happy nearly summer. I think it is really. We've had really warm weather this week. It's been lovely. You will notice I am alone this morning. So Patrick is actually away. He's in Belgium at the moment. So hopefully we might be able to zip him in to our live stream on Thursday, but I thought today we'd just go ahead without him because he's meetings and it was a bit fiddly trying to get him in. So I just thought we'd have a little chat this morning, just us, so we can do whatever we like, really, because we're sort of let loose. But I thought this morning we could look at a text. I was running a women's meeting last night and we looked at this verse and it was really quite interesting. We did like a lot of discussion and a lot of study on it. So I thought we might look at it this morning because it's really relevant, really practical, and actually has some really important truths in it. So I'm going to read the verse for you. This is the NIV. It says, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. And then I just pulled up the Amplified because it gives us a bit more, a bit more info. It amplifies it. I suppose it does what it says it's in. So I appeal to you to live a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called. That is, to live a life that exhibits godly character. Oh, look at this. Moral courage, personal integrity, and mature behavior. A life that expresses gratitude to God for your salvation. Wow, that's quite a lot, isn't it? So what is it? That is to live a life that exhibits godly character, moral courage, personal integrity, and mature behavior. My goodness, there's a whole load in there. So I thought we could just take a little look at this morning because we were chatting about it last night. And, it's very important that we don't get into this sort of religious mindset that it's all about what we do. Because when it talks about living a life that's worthy of the calling, we can sort of get wrapped up in our own sort of, am I worthy? Am I not worthy? But it is important, I think, to have accountability for our behavior. Don't know what you guys think. And I think sometimes we fall into two camps, don't we, as Christians? It's normally either it's all down to us and it's all about what we do, or it's all about what he does and it's nothing to do with us. So it's just an abundance of grace, which means we can actually do whatever we like. And neither is really right, is it? And I think this scripture is important because we need to just look at what is a life that's worthy of the calling you've received. And that's a life of moral integrity, godly character. Jesus was the role model. He is the one that we are disciples of. And he said, go and make disciples. So people that follow that he is the teacher, he is the example, he is the standard, if you like. And that's a huge thing to really look at. But if you look at when he was with the disciples, he taught them a lot about character. And I was thinking last night about, Jesus was, he was very interested in people. He had that character where he drew people in, but he singled out the individuals, which is something that really affects me about Jesus. You think about the woman with the issue of blood. You think about Zacchaeus up in the tree. You think about the woman at the well. Jesus made it his business there that day to be at that well. And I think that's really impactful. And I also think it's really insightful about how he worked in his everyday life. He said, I want to go that way. I want to go that way because I want to meet with her. And, when we look at that story, for example, of the woman at the well, that was a very lonely time for her because we know, like by tradition, that when the women would go to the well, that was a very social thing. It was where they caught up. They didn't have their mobile phones. They didn't have email or Facebook. So that was their Facebook. That was where they went and where they had a good chat. And they were like, oh, did you hear? And such is having a baby, or such is engaged. Or that was where all the gossip, where all the chat, where all the fellowship was, where all the friendship was. But we read of this woman that she went alone. That she went at a different time to everybody else. She went on her own and she's there drawing water. And for me, I suppose that's a real picture of somebody that's just going through so much and just dealing with it, just getting on with life and just enduring and just going through it. And Jesus makes it his business to cross her path that day. And not only to cross her path, but to impact her life and to minister grace. And she even says at one point, you're not even supposed to, I'm a Samaritan, you're a Jew. We shouldn't be even, you shouldn't be asking me for water. I think that's what she says. Whatever it is, it's not how it should be, but it's how Jesus chose to be in that moment with her. And I think that's a little bit what I wanted to talk about this morning, is how we choose to be in our everyday life. being a little bit accountable for that, being a little bit thoughtful about that, thinking about how we are impacting those around us in our everyday life. And, I think one of the saddest things is when you hear people saying, I think the famous quote by Gandhi is, show me a Christian who lives up to his standards, or up to what he says he is, and I will become a Christian. Because people, we have so many opinions and so many things that are out there, but is our godly character, is our moral courage, is our personal integrity and our mature behavior what people know of us, or is it our opinions? And I love, there's a line in Casting Crowns that I really love, and it says, everybody knows what we're against, but do people know what we're for? And, we are for godly character, moral courage, personal integrity, mature behavior, love and compassion. That's what Jesus was. And that's the godly character. Jesus going out of his way in that day to just be with that woman and just think about it, right? Every day she goes to that well, they had to go and gather that water every day, okay? But this day was different, because he had been intentional in reaching out and intentional meeting her there that day. And I just have this picture in my mind of her leaving the house like every other day, going to get her water, and having no idea what was about to happen, having no idea that the Son of God, that Jesus, with all his mercy and grace and compassion, had set about that day to go and meet with her. And, I think that's precious. And today we can be that intentional. We can actually be that intentional. We can think about people around us that we meet today, people around us that maybe we won't meet today, friends, family, even like I know with the kids, sometimes I just get up myself, I'm just going to send them a text and just tell them how amazing they are, how much I love them, how proud I am. Being intentional, with our love and our compassion and our mercy and our grace. And just considering, that the Bible talks in Hebrews about the cloud of witnesses. Sometimes it's good to sort of think a little bit like, how am I behaving? How would I feel if everybody could hear me or see me at this moment? And I have I'm trying really hard to put this into practice, where if I'm having a conversation, I think, would I say this if the person was in the room? Because if I wouldn't, then it's probably not really a good thing to be saying. So just being, having that integrity, personal integrity, because, it goes a long way. It really does. People know what we believe. They know that we're Christians. Most people will probably know that we're Christians that are familiar with us. And it's really important that we walk worthy of the calling. That's the key, walking worthy of the calling. So being a bit accountable. And somebody said last night in the group, which I thought was really good, about your spiritual life, working, alongside our practical life. So the marrying up, then, one not being lopsided, so not being super spiritual and not practical, so we can be super spiritual and know the word and spend time with the Lord and pray for 2 hours a day, whatever it is. But we might go out and just be horrible to people. And what I'm really sad to say, I've heard lots of people say that. I've been at funerals where, godly men and women where their children sort of said it wasn't like that at home. And that's just so sad. And we need to live a life that's worthy of the calling. And that's a life that, in as much as we can, we will never be perfect. We will never get it 100% right. But we can strive and we can aim for the goal. And the goal was Jesus. We are disciples, we are followers, so therefore we're learning from him. And I think it's so important for the world to see that, for people around us to see that, to just see kindness, to see compassion, to see mercy, rather than opinions and condemnation, which has sadly been a lot of the way it has been for Christians in society. So, this morning I just want to encourage you to, look at the word, look at Jesus in the Gospels. That's the goal. He lived a life, didn't he, that was worthy of the calling, because there was no flaw. There's no moment where we point at Jesus and say, he shouldn't really have done that, considering who he was, considering where he was going, considering what he was called to do. There is nowhere in the word that we can point that finger and say, didn't get it right there. He really hit the wrong mark. He set out and he fulfilled a life that was worthy of the calling that was on his life. And when you think of the call that was on his life, and we are called to be what? Disciples, to be followers, to be salt, to be light. And sometimes we don't know what people are going through. We really don't. And you can just reach out and you can just, be that light in somebody's life today. You can just be that difference in somebody's life, because that's what Jesus did. Think of Zacchaeus up the tree when he called him down. Everything changed. Think of the woman at the well. Think of the woman in adultery. Think of the woman with the issue of blood. The woman with the issue of blood was just one of a crowd. So it was just in his day, as he's going along, he's speaking to the crowd, and there she is. Oh, and just that moment, you know, encountering Jesus transformed her life. Let me ask you this. If somebody encounters you today, what effect will it have? What effect will it have? Will it have a good effect? Will it have a bad effect? Will it be a life that exhibits godly character and moral courage and integrity and being a grown-up, and not reacting to situations? So, I just want to encourage you today. First of all, isn't it amazing that we are called? Isn't it wonderful that God has called us by name, that we are followers of Jesus, that we are disciples of Jesus? But it's also really, really important that we live a life that's worthy of that calling. So this morning, whoever you meet, wherever you go, making lunch for the kids, whatever it is that you're doing today, if you're at work, consider the fact that first of all, you're privileged to have a call of God on your life. You have been named and chosen by God. And second of all, consider everything that we do. Don't scrutinize, don't get paranoid, but be aware that in this day, you have an opportunity to live a life that's worthy of that calling. And, people can see us and they perceive us. I want to be light in a room. I want people to say, Sian's great. I love it when she walks into the room. She brings light and life and love. That's what people are looking for. There's so much sadness and so much confusion around us. I don't want to add to that. I don't want to bring condemnation to that party. I want to bring love and light to that party. So this morning, thank you for joining me on my own. Hopefully I'll have Pat. Well, actually he'll be on the screen because I won't have him here on Thursday, but we might have him on the screen. But I'm glad you were with me. Thank you for being with me. And you know what? Just go out into the day, embrace the day. Remember, Jesus is the standard. Remember that Jesus, he is the one that we are following. We are disciples of Jesus, aren't we? So we want to be more like him. Think of that Zacchaeus moment. Think of that woman with the issue of blood. Think of the woman in adultery. Think of the impact he had on them because he responded with a life that was worthy of the calling. He responded with love and light and mercy and grace. So we're at the Hilton Hotel, Dublin Airport on Sunday at 11. Would love to see you there. If not, you have a great day, and I will see you on Thursday. And hopefully I'll have my sister on there with me. Don't tell her I said that.